These are the jobs you may not see every day, but just know we're working hard to make Hillsborough County a better place to live, work, and play. Subscribe to our YouTube page for more great county-related videos, only on HTV.
And welcome to this meeting of the HART Board of Directors on July 19, 2021. The meeting format is hybrid. We are waiting for a quorum. We are hoping for a quorum soon, and some board members are participating virtually. So please join me to start out in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And at this point, we'll take attendance. Ms. Arthur will do the roll call.
Actually, Lena.
Good morning, this is Lena Pitts with HART. Director Castor, Director Frazier, Director Hudson,
Here.
Director Johnson, Director Kemp,
Here.
Director Knight, Director McLean, Director Myers, Director Overman,
Here.
Director Schisler,
Here.
Chair Smith,
Here.
Director Vieira, Director Williams.
Here.
Madam Chair, we do not have quorum at this time.
Thank you. And I'm just going to point out that we've had a few board members call in today in first thing in the morning, kind of at the last minute, signaling that, letting us know that they would be absent. And I'm going to ask everybody to make an effort to let us know whether they'll be able to attend physically in the future as far in advance as they're able. I understand that emergencies come up and people aren't able to make it, but when I drove an hour to get here myself this morning, I think it's important that we all make that effort. If something's come up and you can't make it, fine, but try to let us know as far in advance as you can. We are expecting a quorum a little bit later, and so we will continue with our meeting and do the presentation and things that we can do. But we have a very important item on today's agenda, and that is approval of the millage rate. And so we are all trying to wait until we have a quorum to get that done today. So skipping over the approval of minutes, is there anybody from the public who wanted to speak today? And we have no public comment, so it's not necessary to read those rules into the agenda and, or into the record. We will skip the action items and go to item number 6, Ms. LeGrand, sole source procurement and one-time deviation. And Ms. LeGrand will give us a report on that.
Yes, good morning. This month for the sole source deviation report, we don't have anything new that was added to the list in the month of June. Waiting for staff to pull up the table. And what you'll see in the table is that we have in total, based on sole source contracts, spent a little over $1 million, around $1.4 million in sole source awards. And the point here of this table is just to give a running total, because we talk about sole source and they're typically low dollar amounts, but we just wanted to make sure that we're well aware of how much we're spending in these sole source awards so that, you know, we are making it being very transparent on how that's working. And if there are opportunities for us to do something different in the future. Again, it's around 1.1 million, so not 1.4. So just wanted to share that, but there's nothing new that was added to the list for the month of June. The next item on the agenda?
Are there any questions or comments or board discussion? Yeah, moving right along. Next item, thank you.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the Chief Executive Officer's report. But I wanted to see if the board chair would be willing if we took a step back and at least allowed us to do the presentation on some of the information for the ad valorem and the process that we'll take, recognizing that we can't take a vote, but there's a lot of information there that may be beneficial for us to have a conversation. I just wanted to see if that was something the board chair would be willing to do.
Good idea.
Okay, so with that, I'd like to turn to the conversation on the ad valorem tax, and we have a presentation that we have to accompany this. So pursuant to Florida Statute 200.65, HART has 35 days from the receipt of the certified property value to advise the property appraiser of its proposed not to exceed millage rate, of its rollback rate, and the date, time, and place of which the public hearing would be held to consider the proposed millage rate and the tentative budget. So what that means in a nutshell is that we need to present to you as well as to the public what we're intending to do as it relates to our budget and how we intend to spend the dollars that are generated from the ad valorem tax. What we have on this deck, and we also have staff here, we have Ms. Joanne Caceres as well as Ms. Loretta Kirk in attendance to provide some background information. So next slide, please. So what we show here are the historical revenues, just so that you can see, you know, the millage has been the same millage rate, but as you are well aware that, you know, as the environment changes, the economy changes, you know, we've been fortunate to see increases in the percentage that we're getting from the ad valorem. So as you look through this slide here, we're showing since 2016, fiscal year 16 through fiscal year 22, which is proposed, what the ad valorem dollars were, and then what the percent change is from the previous year. So what we're anticipating for fiscal year 22 is an 8.1%. So our next steps in the process really are to, in the month of July, which starting tomorrow, that's why it's important for us to have the vote today, is to certify the taxable values to the property appraiser. Again, we're following, you know, what's in the statute, and then provide the prior and current year proposed millage rate, which you saw on that chart, and also provide the current year rollback rate, and announce the date, time, and location of the public hearings. So where we are to date, we have identified 2 dates for our public hearing. One is September 13th, and the other one is September 27th. And the intention is that we would have at these public hearings the opportunity to have dialogue with the community and then allow the board to vote on, what we've heard. And then we'll follow up again and do the second public hearing on September 27th. Also, since both of these meetings are on Mondays, we also would like to recommend that we hold our September board meeting on the 27th of September. And then this way, we can conduct our board business as well as hold the public hearing on that date of September 27th. Lastly, in keeping with the statute, both of those meetings have to occur in the evening. So that means they have to occur at least after 5 p.m. So our September board meeting would actually be in the evening as opposed to during the morning. So wanted to share that with you. We also, that chart that we just had on the previous slide, they're showing the next steps associated with statute. But we also, as staff, thought it would be important to also expand our public meetings to the community so they are aware of what's going on with our budget, get some input prior to getting to the public hearings in September. At this time, I will ask Joanne Caceres if she can come and speak a bit about the process for the public meetings.
Excuse me. Can we go back 1 minute and just show the graph? Because I didn't get to look at that quite closely enough.
No
I just
problem.
was curious to do that.
Yep. Previous slide, please. Yes, ma'am.
Why does it go down?
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any
For
comment
me.
on that?
I just really wanted to get it in my mind
Great.
all these years, and I just didn't get quite enough time to look at it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And Director Schisler?
Yeah, I'm sorry. With
No
regards to
problem.
this same chart, if I'm reading this correctly, the ad valorem values increased by $4 million, and yet the overall percentage of change is going, I'm sorry, okay, I was, it went by so quick, I was reading it wrong. I apologize. I thought it was, you were talking about the ad valorem tax revenues that were going to be generated, that were going to be lower. Okay, never mind. Having seen it larger, I can understand it now.
No problem. We can leave this up for a while.
Okay.
You can continue to look at it as Ms. Caceres talks about our outreach approach.
Good morning.
Okay. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Ms. LeGrand. With regards to the public outreach for the hearings, the public hearings that we're going to have for this process of the millage, we did advertise on July 14th. So we put ads in various newspapers, and we also put an ad out on our website so that we can receive public input. And so we made available through our marketing division an access or a link so that the public can go in and provide their comments. So formally, the public comment period started July 14th, and it will be ending on July 28th. So we're giving them 14 days so they're able, to the public, to comment on the change in the millage. And so the 28th, we'll have, like Ms. LeGrand mentioned, 2 public hearings, and it will be held in the Marion Transit Center, one at 5:30, one at 12:30 and then at 5:30. So that would be the opportunity that we'd have with the public to give their comments on the proposed millage rate. So, so we all want to have that on the agenda for that. After this process, just Ms. LeGrand did mention, then we'd go into our normal process on August 2nd for the presenting the tentative budget and the other processes. So we'll have that covered, the 2 public hearings. Okay. So we have those 2 dates. On the calendar that we have for the millage, the calendar that we usually put out there and some of the next steps that Ms. LeGrand mentioned to you, these are mandated by the TRIM, the Department of Revenue, okay? And they're mandated for us to have that public outreach. So these are established on those 2 dates specifically, and will be the open period for the public outreach. Thank you.
Excuse me, just to get clear, so you were talking about public meetings separately from our public hearings that were going to be held, because I thought you said the 28th, and I thought Mr. LeGrand said the 27th, so.
Right.
Yes, I
So-
think I need to correct that, yes.
So the meetings in July are to engage with the public on our amended budget. So at the same time that we are approving the budget associated with the ad valorem, our overall budget process has kicked off. We presented our proposed budget to you, I want to say, in the month of May or June. And so that's a part of the process that we're engaging with the public now. So as we are working to fine-tune our budget, we'll have those meetings in July that Ms. Caceres mentioned to allow the public to provide input on our amended budget. And then that has to happen before we go into the conversation with the ad valorem budget, so that when we're presenting that budget in September, it's one that now reflects all of the input from the community, it's amended, and that would become our recommended budget for approval.
And although we call them public hearings, that's kind of a technical term, I understand, because there's like not a decision made there. It's really a more of a community outreach, taking public comment, kind of a meeting?
Right, so it's nuanced there. So since our overall budget has federal funds included in it, part of the federal process is that we have to have public hearings associated with dollars that will be coming from federal funds. But it's not the same process as the state process for our ad valorem budget. So the vernacular is the same as far as hearings. One requires that we do it in the evening, and it specifies when it occurs, and that's what we're doing in September. The other is more in alignment with the Federal Transit Administration and USDOT, and since we're getting funding from them in our overall budget, we're having those meetings as well. So, but again, those are they're more intended to get public comment and then just documenting for the federal process the comments that we received, to show that it was definitely a process that was focused on engaging.
And we'll all get notices of all of those meetings, so we can share them with our public networks and help to get the word out.
That is correct.
Great.
And then now Ms. Kirk is here, and she has some updates as well.
Thank you, Ms. LeGrand, and to the board chair and members of the board. I just want to clarify a few things. We're really doing two things simultaneously. We have to come to the board to amend our 2021 budget. Your board policy basically states that we have to have public input before we can amend the budget. So that's one track we're on, to amend the budget, and we're going to bring that to the board for approval. And then, as Ms. LeGrand stated, we're also in the process of going through the process to approve the 22 budget, and that includes the TRIM process, which is a mandated process by state. And as Ms. LeGrand stated, in addition to the required outreach, we want to do additional outreach to the public to let them know how we develop our budget, how we spend the public's money. And so the two public hearings that you have on the chart that you saw a few minutes ago are mandated by state law. But certainly we want to go beyond what's mandated and be good public partners and tell the public what we're doing with their money. And that's the additional outreach effort that we're talking about. Thank you.
Thank you. Well said.
So I would say that's the approach for the meeting. As Ms. Kirk mentioned, we're moving two balls down the court at the same time, but we're playing two different games. So it's interesting, but we can accomplish it, and we feel good about the approach. And we also, I would like to state that this budget cycle, we had the opportunity to really engage with the staff. I want to say starting in, was it February, Ms. Caceres?
Yes, in February.
We started building our budget with input from the team for every department starting in February. So we feel really good that the input that we received, it was very collaborative. We've been going through the process of how do we make some adjustments. So when we go live, you know, we really feel comfortable that what we're presenting to the community actually reflects what the team needs to keep the business going, as well as what we can actually afford. So again, want to take this opportunity to thank the team for working so diligently over the last couple of months to keep this effort moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel like we're in good hands. Is there any board comment or discussion about this, either of these processes?
Okay.
All right. Yes.
Just
Commissioner
because we
Grant.
have time, maybe.
Right. Right.
I just want to say I'm pleased that you're doing, I've never heard it described quite that way. Again, I've been on through 4 of these at HART. And I think it's good that we're having the public outreach. I don't know how robust it will be in terms of the public participating in terms of the budget in the past. The one time that I saw very robust public engagement was during Mission Max and the cuts that were made then. And there was a lot of public feedback at that time. But I think it's very good to put it out there and do this.
Thank you.
Is that all the presentation we have on that item? We could move through, we could either go to the presentation of the second action item here, and we still have general counsel's report. But let's do get both the action items in our mind while we're waiting to take action. And go ahead, Ms. LeGrand.
Okay, so this next action item, which is item 5B, is Resolution R2021-07-35. And this is to authorize the Chief Executive Officer to delegate contracting officer authority to 2 employees in the Finance Department. So there's a slide
I don't see
that we should have up on the screen. And it shows that right now, the way our delegation of authority process works for procurement documents, you see several names here on the slide. There are 2 names with asterisks in front of them, so that's Ms. Loretta Kirk and Ms. Kathy Zickerfuss. And what we're asking today is for approval to allow them to have procurement authority as it's listed on the slide for the amounts that are presented. As you may be aware, Mr. John Edmondson is no longer with the organization, and he served as our Director of Procurement. Ms. Zickerfuss is our Interim Director of Procurement. She's been working in the department for several years. She's well versed in procurement and what we've been doing in the organization. And I believe at one point in time, she also served as a Director of Procurement for HART. So she will be stepping into this role. And then as well, you're aware that Ms. Loretta Kirk is our interim CFO. So we just wanted to, as you know, adhering to our procurement policy, to present this to you. And then I also thought it would be important for you to see all of the other folks who have authority, signature authority, and for the dollar amount and for, you know, what types of procurements. So that's the intent of this slide. So you see there's 4 columns beyond the initial column. And one is column that's called column A, that's for purchase authority, and it shows the dollar amount for the limit. Column B are task orders. Column C is modifications to purchase orders. And D is modifications to task orders. And those are the dollar amounts that we have for each one of the named persons on the slide. So again, the ask is for approval for Ms. Kirk and Ms. Zickerfuss to also be approved on this list.
question. And, you know, I see that I'm only just now being able to join the hybrid meeting. And so Director McLean, I apologize for not having seen your hand up before. Were you addressing the previous item or this item? You're recognized. You're muted. Director McLean, you're muted.
We can hear him.
Oh, Director McLean, you're muted.
Yeah, he's on now.
We're not hearing you. Okay. Director McLean, I've been informed that it's not your issue. It is, we are just about to make that connection for you. It's the local communications. I'll tell you what, we'll come back to you, Director McLean, when we've got you connected. And in the meantime, Director Hudson, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, this was on the quorum issue. I let Danielle and Lena know this a few weeks ago, but I'll be out on Monday the 2nd, so just hopefully we can make arrangements for an in-person quorum, but just putting that on the record given today's events.
Thank you very much. And I mean, the point of it is that if we all know ahead of time, we can contact different board members who may or may not be able to join after all and create a quorum that way. Or worst case scenario, if we're not going to have enough people coming, well, we can all stay home in our flip-flops and not bother with the commute. All right, and communications, do we have director? Still working on that communications issue. Okay, Commissioner Kemp.
I would also say, just to add, that it'd probably be important for, I thought it was a pretty light agenda this morning, but knowing that we have this very important millage vote on it, it'd probably be important for people to, and I don't think it'll quite happen again, but to know that I was thinking maybe we could just take whatever business and put it in August, but obviously we can't. So to know the urgency, usually we've had every meeting is urgent, and we're finally getting it to not look quite that way. So I think that also might be an important point to be able to make to board members in the future.
That's a good point.
All right, I'm sorry, Director McLean, we're still having technical difficulties on our end. When we are able to connect, I'll let you know.
Chair.
Okay, thumbs up over there.
Chair.
So, Director Overman.
Thank you very much. I do see that we have, several board members that have joined the meeting virtually that we didn't hear in a roll call earlier. I see a record of those that appear to be online to make sure that they're recognized as attending. My question actually pertained to the procurement process. Clearly, there's, the county has a much different level of approval that's delegated out. So I'm just curious about when the CFO has a $500,000 authority, what does that look like in how your operating style, works with making sure that it works well for the organization, but as well for the employees that have that kind of authorization? Can you elaborate a little on that?
Sure, just need a little more clarity as far as specificity of what your request is. You want to know what the procurement process is, or you want to know, if you could just
Well,
explain?
typically with procurement, we end up approving a lot of those things. So we're
That is
looking at
correct.
procurements that are authorized outside of board direction, I assume, but are within the CEO's direction in terms of moving forward on certain purchases. Does that describe what I'm trying to figure out?
So, yes and no. So the way our process is right now, yes, the CEO has signature authority up to $100,000. However, we don't execute any agreements without bringing it to the board for approval. So if you look at our agenda now, like we have items on there for authorization to award. So the board would give us approval to award the contract. But if you recall on the table, if there's a task order associated in the contract, so the board has already approved the contract for $2 million. Then we have a task order that's generated for $50,000. This is saying for a task order that's $50,000, Tina can sign off on that task order. So, if you think of it as a process of, like an upside down, triangle, we start with you, the board. You give us approval to execute the contracts.
Audio test.
And then when we are managing the contracts or doing the business associated with the contracts, this is just saying that these are the staff people that are allowed to execute those subsequent agreements.
Excellent. Thank you very much for the clarity. That was very helpful.
You're welcome.
And the reason I sort of asked that question is since we have a moment, and thank you, Director Frazier, for being able to arrive so we have a quorum, so we can stop sort of figuring out what do we talk about now. Thank you very much.
Yes.
We have an item on the consent, and since we're going to be running through consent and proving that rather quickly, I just had two questions that relate to the media contract that's out for bid. We have two things that historically have occurred that I have some interest that relate to, the bus wraps associated with HART's media contracts. One is, as the chair of the Commission on Human Trafficking, we currently have the campaign that's up and running for human trafficking. And so I'd like to ask staff to give me an idea of what it would cost to, or what arrangements can be made to have that continue beyond the scheduled date of, I believe it was going to run through September, if I'm not mistaken. So I'd like to get a request for information on that. And then two, and this may be under a whole different set of criteria, but in the past, we have had Art on HART. It was a grant that HART issued that allowed for artists in the local area to create a cultural opportunity to share the artists in our community on HART buses through the RAP program. So I would love to get an update on those two items. We don't have to do it today, but it's just since it's on consent and it's going to go running right through, I thought I'd ask for that information to be brought back either at a later date or just update my office so that I know. I appreciate it.
So, yes, those
Madam
are.
Chair? Oh, sorry, this is a WebEx test, just to make sure that we have audio from WebEx, if you can hear us on the floor.
Yes,
I
we hear
apologize for
you.
interrupting.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So yes to both of those. We can definitely respond back to you. And again, on the consent agenda, it's just approval to solicit.
Right.
So that doesn't mean that we cannot add, if there's language or any elements that you would like to have included in the procurement solicitation, we can definitely work with you and making sure that's there. The intent for that item is to now cluster all three of our brands under one contract.
Right.
So that would be HART, HART Plus, as well as the streetcar, and one advertising contract. And the contract that we currently have is up for expiration. You talked about vehicle wrapping, and I will share this with you that, I'm not necessarily a proponent of wrapping our vehicles with advertisements, but that doesn't mean that I don't believe that we need to get advertising dollars. So I have asked staff to see if there are other ways that we can get advertising dollars without wrapping the vehicles. There's a couple of things. If you ride on a bus and you're trying to look out the window and it's wrapped, it's difficult. I've ridden on a bus and tried to look out the window, and it's difficult. And if you're someone who is visually impaired, or you're just trying to look out and see where the next stop is, if it's about the customer experience and we're deliberately doing things that make the customer experience not that great, to me, that's something for us to revisit. So that's just my own personal feeling. It doesn't mean that, it's not a dictatorship, but I did share that with staff so that we can see if there are other creative ways to get advertising dollars. The other thing to keep in mind is that we have Wi-Fi on our vehicles. So is there a way that we can create some revenue streams or advertising streams to allow, advertisers to push their information on our vehicles when we're in our closed Wi-Fi network? These are some of the, the questions that I've posed. I don't know the answers. Advertising is definitely not my background, but I do know that if I'm in certain areas and I have my phone, I'll get these alerts for advertisements because I'm in a specific zone. So I think some of those techniques we could at least explore at HART, and that's something that I've asked for. So thank you for your questions, and we'll definitely get with you and staff to see how we can incorporate both the human trafficking as well as how we look at advertising on our vehicles. It's very important, both of those.
Excellent.
So thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to go back to Director McLean, who has been waiting very patiently for his turn. Director McLean, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hopefully you can hear me now.
Yes, loud and clear.
Perfect, thank you. My question was really for the budget slide, so I can hold off until we're done with this discussion, ma'am.
Okay, when we go back to 5A, is that what you're talking about? Okay. Director Hudson.
Thanks, Madam Chair. On the advertising, since that's already in motion, maybe this can run through the committee or maybe a full board presentation, but I'd be curious too, just from a benchmarking perspective, if any comparable transit agencies are able to avoid advertising. I mean, I know we certainly need the revenue, and I think the Wi-Fi, like a splash page, that's a really creative, interesting way to think about it. So just be curious, how much revenue do we actually get? What is the cost of getting, that revenue? So like a true net comparison, and just whether any other agencies that are our size do anything creative.
Definitely, we can do that. And I want to say our revenue is approximately $1 million. I see that Ms. Haddo is and is that accurate? So, I mean, we're getting $1 million from advertising dollars for a budget of $100 million. So I definitely think that we can find a way to be creative and still get, at a minimum, $1 million, if not more. So we can do that analysis and come back.
Commissioner Kemp, you're recognized.
Thank you. And I think we have had some de minimis discussion about this in the past, but with our budget being so difficult, it's, it was kind of a future discussion almost when we were anticipating that we would maybe have more revenues. But that also includes, I think, advertising at the shelters, correct? Not only the bus reps.
Right. And so again, I just want to be clear. I'm not proposing that I'm against advertising on vehicles. It's just how do we advertise? So you can advertise interior with the cards. So we could, do that. You could put advertisements at the bottom of the buses and not cover up the windows. We have shelters. So there are different schemes. But I think as we go through this process, we need to make sure that the advertisements are not negatively impacting our customer experience.
And I just want to say I really support reviewing it because I have had questions about some of the advertising we've done. I think it takes away from our branding of who we are, as well as at the stations and on the buses. So I really appreciate looking at that, and I've always understood it to be a very de minimis impact on our budget, despite how we've struggled sometimes with our budget. It really hasn't done much to benefit us, and I don't think the negatives have necessarily, or the detractions or what it's done to us has necessarily been considered. So I'm very supportive of reviewing that.
Right. And as I share with staff, it's one of those things, right? So if you think about brands, and if you think about like Delta or Southwest, what would you think if you saw the plane flying and it was wrapped with CVS or some other advertisement, right? It would be kind of bizarre. But we don't look at transit like that. And if we want others to take us seriously, we need to elevate our brand, and our brand is HART. And we need to make sure that when people see that, that's worth something, right? There's a dollar associated with having the HART brand going up and down the street. And then the other advertisements, if it's, again, if you go back to Delta, if it's Coca-Cola or someone else, they have a way to advertise, but what's important is the fact that they get to advertise with that brand. So what I'm trying to do is make our brand, really be worth more in the market so that people want to advertise with us, and then we can be selective, and then we can have a better opportunity to control, how much we actually generate from advertising. That's going to be a process, but that's, the process that we're starting.
Okay. I think at this point, we should take a new roll call and ensure that we do have a quorum. And thank you very much, Director Frazier, for going to great lengths to come help us make that quorum at the last minute when we had several of our members with their own emergencies this morning. So we'll take a roll call, and then I think probably take these action items that we've been discussing and then run through everything else we have, okay? While we've got these 5 and A and B fresh in our minds. So, Ms. Pettit, if you would please take the roll.
Director Castor? Director Frazier?
Present.
Director Hudson?
Here.
Director Johnson? Director Kemp?
Here.
Director Knight?
Present.
Director McLean?
Here.
Director Myers? Director Oberman?
Here.
Director Schisler?
Here.
Chair Smith?
Here.
Director Vieira?
Here.
Director Williams?
Here.
Madam Chair, you have quorum.
Awesome. All right, and so let's do these action items, starting with the proposed ad valorem tax millage number 5A, which we had previously discussed. And Director Frazier, if you missed any of that discussion on your commute, if you have any questions or concerns about the budget, feel free to raise your hand on that. And meanwhile, I'll go back to Director McLean, who had some questions and comments about that. Director McLean.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And this is really directed at Ms. LeGrand and her discussions with staff, but I'd like it to be just a general question to everybody out there. I noticed over the last 6 years, our millage rate has remained at 0.50. I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, we're authorized up to 0.75. And we've had considerable discussions over the course of the years, and even Commissioner Kemp just mentioned it just a few minutes ago, reference our budget and how strict our budget has been. Was there any discussion, Mr. Graham, on raising our millage request?
So, good morning, Director McLean. No, staff has not had a conversation as far as asking for our millage to be increased. We have had conversations on what the dollars would look like, but we recognize that this would have to be a board action. But definitely would love to have an opportunity to engage if that's something that the board would like.
Yeah, and as a follow-on comment, Madam Chair, I mean, I recognize that our revenues through ad valorem have increased substantially over the last 6 years. However, I don't, for one, believe they have kept up with the costs associated with running HART. And so, from my standpoint, I would say I would like to see that discussion, understanding there's a lengthy process to go through and raising our millage rates, but I think that would be a discussion we, as a board, should have in the coming future.
Thank you. Commissioner Kemp.
Thank you.
Yes. I've looked into this quite a bit in the past and made myself familiar with it. And so I am not familiar with the 0.75, because as I understand, statutorily, we're able to go to 3%, actually. We're at 0.50. We could go to 3% under state, and if you have any other information or anyone else has contradictory information, let me know. But that we are able to go to 3%. And in Pinellas, for instance, they are under the same, I think, state statute limitations. But initially, they did a 1% through referendum, which is required, so that they could go up to 1%. They've held theirs down to 0.5, like we were, for decades. But they were able to go up to 1. We are at 0.5 unless we do a referendum, I believe, and get voter approval for moving that. In Pinellas, they have up to 1%, and they did about 2 or 3 years ago, just by board vote, they did 0.75. But anything, they could go up still. We are limited unless we go through a process that's quite extraordinary, which is not only this board approval, but I believe the Board of County Commissioners, and then also putting it on the ballot. So that is not any small or simple thing to do, because I think we would have done as Pinellas did. But if anyone has any other information with regards to that, that's contrary to that, that I would love to hear or understand that.
Thank you, and I see another hand here, but first I'd like to ask Ms. Mandel about the process, because at the point at which we're at now, it seems to me it's, any discussion of changing the millage rate is far in the future.
That is correct. We would have to wait till, at this point, I mean, you could potentially move it one more meeting and maybe make some different decisions. And I'm not as familiar with the process. I do know referendums required, but I can't give you all the requirements to get there. But in order for us to change the millage at this point, we would not really be able to do that because we are obligated by state law to send this proposed millage rate to the property appraiser. The tax collector.
We could lower it, right?
You can go lower.
Yeah, but we
where
can't.
you are, you can always go lower, but you can't go higher.
Right, without all that process that Commissioner Kemp described. So it would certainly be an interesting discussion, and but it's really, raising the millage rate at this point does not apply to what we're about to approve and have public hearings on. Commissioner Overman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. And we actually had this conversation last year as we approached the millage rate. And so I recognize that we run all year long, coming up with great ideas, continually complaining that we're the lowest funded transit agency in the country pretty much for the size of our metropolitan area. And then we get here and we go, oh, maybe we should do something. So I think it is incumbent on us, given that it sounds like at this point our opportunities for making any changes other than rolling it back or keeping it at 50 or 0.5, that we're limited in what we're able to do. But I would like to ask that in the process of developing our strategic plan and working with the Finance Committee, that we review our project lists that currently exist and whatever funding that we can partner with, whether it's a federal level or state level, that we review, our wish list budget. And so that when we approach next year's situation, that we know what that looks like. As some of you know, that, we have had the sales referendum struck down for what was going to fund for HART. And there's conversation and effort to bring something back possibly next year. But that, but it doesn't change the fact that HART needs to have funding to run a robust transit system on its own. And so I would like to encourage that over the next year, as we look at our strategic planning on what we want this agency to look like and do for our community, that we incorporate the finance element of that so that we're prepared for developing an outreach, a campaign that helps citizens understand why that many times we struggle with being able to provide the level of service we would love to see in Hillsborough County for, if no other reason, for equity in our investments in our community, that we prepare for addressing what is needed. And if 0.75 is the number, if 1% is the number, if 0.5 can be done, that's great. But I would like to, because we literally had almost this conversation a year ago about this time, going, oh, well, we can't change it because we're at this point. So I would like to suggest that over the next year, in concert with the strategic plan, that we really analyze what that does. Now, it may not happen next year, I understand, but I think it would be appropriate for us to begin really looking at what kind of investment is necessary to create the kind of transit system that Hillsborough County citizens and businesses deserve. So I'll stop there.
Thank you. And I'm going to recognize Councilman Schisler and ask if anybody's still got their hand up from before, if you'll take your hands down. If you want another turn, leave it up. Councilman Schisler, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you. I agree with both Commissioner Overman. Need to do something. We talked about this about a year ago. I know each one of us had an individual meeting with staff regarding the current status of cash flow, at least future funding more specifically, and the fact that the ad valorem rates were not generating the revenues that we needed for us to be successful and to grow. And we're now, and if it wasn't for the COVID money or the PPP, we'd be in trouble. So having said that, and I agree with what Commissioner Kemp said, it's a long process. We can't just arbitrarily make that happen, and it does have to go for a referendum according to what staff's research. So I think that we should make this a priority and really move forward with this, beginning as soon as we're done with this. We're done, let's not wait till we get to the next budget cycle and then we recognize that we have to do something. I think we should, I agree, we should get started on this now because it's going to be a tough sell in all likelihood to a referendum with everything else that's going on. And rather than beat this horse anymore, I'd like to move to approve resolution R 2021-07-34, certifying the ad valorem tax millage for the fiscal year 2022 budget.
I'll second. But
I see your hand. Are you finished, Councilman?
Yes, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
And, I just want to point out in this discussion that we did have a discussion. We had a full presentation last year on the timing for this and the understanding that when we put it on the ballot, it still takes, another couple of years to take effect. So it's not like we've just been talking about it. We have gone through a robust presentation on this process before. Commissioner Kemp, you're recognized.
thank you. I also think it's important, since we're getting into this discussion again, there's only, as I understand, and again, if there's counter information to this, please bring it on. There's only 2 transit agencies in the state of Florida that support themselves through ad valorem tax, and that's PSTA and Hillsborough. We're also the only ones that don't have our transit agency under a county, as a county department, rather than as an independent agency. And I think it's no surprise that the 2 most underfunded transit agencies in the state of Florida are the ones that are funded strictly through ad valorem tax. And us being our funding is far less relative to Pinellas. Pinellas is 1/3 the size of ours, physical size. They have 1 million people, we have 1,000,005 people. And as I said, we're doing 0.5 mils and they're doing 0.75 mils and they could do 0.1 mils. Now, That being said, we did have this discussion, and if you were ever going to do this, it would have to be on the 2022 ballot. And if you were going to do that, you would cause an awful lot of confusion about this, and you would take away from a bigger resource, because if it moves forward, if we move forward with another sales tax on the 2022, you would have this as a competing, confusing discussion, which would, as we can see, 0.5% does 56 million this year, so we would be doing something like doubling that, whereas in the former budget, we had more like 140 to 150 million. So the discussion has been had. I don't think it's, considering the barriers, it's a source that necessarily is a source for us to be moving forward and prolonging discussion. But since it's come up again, because I've gone through this a few times here, I just wanted to point all those factors out now, and as we move forward.
Thank you. Director Frazier, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I wasn't privy to the conversation before I arrived, but I was able to read through the action item and the resolution. I just want to confirm that the motion is for that action item as it stands in the written materials that we received.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
And Madam Chair?
Yes,
Director McClain.
Director McLean, you're recognized.
Yeah, just as a follow-on, great conversation. I was not insinuating that we try to change this year's budget. I know that's impossible to do. And I understand, as Commissioner Kemp said, there might be competing efforts if we go forward. But I still believe that we as a board need to move forward with looking at ad valorem as a possible another source of revenue. We kicked the can for the last 4 or 5 years. As a matter of fact, Commissioner Kemp mentioned last year's discussion. We've actually had this discussion for quite a few years. But now I think it's time we at least look at this in all seriousness, maybe ask the staff to bring back the actual procedures that would go through in doing this, and then maybe move forward with the understanding, if we were successful, we probably wouldn't even see this until 2023, maybe 2024. But I still believe it's an effort we need to do. Even if we look at it as a competing effort, neither one are guaranteed to succeed, but at least if we get one of them, we'll get some funding for this organization. So that's where I stand. Thank you.
Thank you. And seeing no further discussion, we have a motion on the floor. Let's take a roll call vote.
Director Castor,
Yes.
Director Frazier,
Yes.
Director Hudson,
Yes.
Director Johnson, Director Kemp,
Yes.
Director Knight,
Yes.
Director McLean,
Yes.
Director Myers, Director Oberman,
Yes.
Director Schisler,
Yes.
Chair Smith,
Yes.
Director Viera,
Yes.
Director Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Motion passed unanimously. All right, and that was a motion by Director Schisler, seconded by Commissioner Pat Kemp. So that takes us to item 5B, the resolution authorizing our CEO to delegate a contracting officer authority to the named employees in the finance department. We saw a presentation. Are there any other questions about that item?
So moved.
Second?
All right, we have a motion on the floor to pass Resolution 2021-0735 by Commissioner Kemp, second by Councilman Schisler. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's take a roll call vote.
Director Castor,
Yes.
Director Frazier,
Yes.
Director Hudson,
Yes.
Director Johnson, Director Kemp,
Yes.
Director Knight,
Yes.
Director McLean,
Yes.
Director Myers, Director Overman,
Yes.
Director Schisler,
Yes.
Chair Smith,
Yes.
Director Vieira,
Yes.
Director Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. All right, and we just have a few more items to wrap up. We could start with the approval of the minutes, go back to the beginning of the agenda.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion to approve by Commissioner Overman, second by Councilman Schisler. Seeing no discussion, although Commissioner Overman's hand is up.
I'm trying to get it down,
Seeing no
sorry.
discussion, let's take a roll call vote.
Director Castor,
Yes.
Director Frazier,
Yes.
Director Hudson,
Yes.
Director Kemp,
Yes.
Director Knight,
Yes.
Director McLean,
Yes.
Director Overman,
Yes.
Director Schisler,
Yes.
Chair Smith,
Yes.
Director Vieira,
Yes.
Director Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Great. And we can go then to item 4, the consent agenda. The Finance and Audit Committee met on June 21st and reviewed the action items 4A through 4E, and they formed a consensus in support of approval of these action items. So,
Move approval.
So moved. Second.
okay, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Overman, second by Commissioner Kemp. Was that correct?
Yes.
All right. I see a hand raised, Commissioner Kemp.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was down.
Okay.
I keep doing the same
Seeing
thing.
no discussion on the consent agenda, we can take a roll call vote.
Director Castor,
Yes.
Director Frazier,
Yes.
Director Hudson,
Yes.
Director Kemp,
Yes.
Director Knight,
Yes.
Director McLean,
Yes.
Director Overman,
Yes.
Director Schisler,
Yes.
Chair Smith,
Yes.
Director Vieira,
Yes.
Director Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Great. And Ms. LeGrand, do you have anything further for the Chief Executive Officer report?
Yes, I have a brief report this morning, and just wanted to give an opportunity to provide an update. I've completed my first 6 months, so I thought it'd be good to at least give you a status update of where we are. So if we can get the presentation up. So as you may recall, the first 3 months was really focused on engaging with the community, internal and external community. And we called it, the listening and learning phase. And during that process, next slide, please. Really, it was about learning from the community, listening, and then moving into a next phase, which was to really look at what we've heard and how it would impact the organization. How do we make some improvements in the organization, as well as to continue to support in the areas where we're doing really well. And that's really what was accomplished within the first 6 months. And then, for the remaining, months of the year, it's really about, helping us to create this vision for HART. And we kicked off the strategic planning process in that first 6-month period to get us, prepared to ending the year with a vision for HART. So today I just want to walk through, what we've done over the last 6 months. Next slide, please. So again, we talked about listening and met internally with both the bargaining and non-bargaining team. This is something that we're continuing to do. Even though this kicked off in January, just want to be clear that this is not something that we started and ended in January. This is an ongoing opportunity to really hear from those who are on the front lines of opportunities that we have to make some improvements or continue doing some things that are working really, really well. Next slide. We also then talked to our external partners, which again, we're continuing to do that. That includes agencies like FDOT, as well as the MPO, and even working across the Bay with PSTA to just understand, what are some of the challenges that we're facing in the community and how can we all, work smarter so that we can accomplish our similar goals. In addition, also understanding, some of the partners within the county and some of the needs they have, if it's affordable housing, if it's working with those who are being impacted by homelessness, just how we can be better partners across the board, and then also how does it impact the services that we are providing. So again, these conversations are continuing. Next slide. And then working with the community. You heard a presentation today how we really want to be more deliberate about how we engage with the community and making sure that, they're a part of all the decision-making that we are engaged in. It's the community that's helping support HART, if it's through the ad valorem tax, as well as, if it's from the fare box. We just need to make sure folks know how we're spending the dollars. Because in reality, if we do want to come back, if it's through this next referendum in 22 or looking at the ad valorem, if folks feel like they don't know what we're doing with the dollars we have today, it's harder to convince them that we're going to be good stewards of additional funds. So we need to make sure that we're being very deliberate in engaging with our community, and that's something that we have continued to do. Next slide. So that took us through the first 3 months, and the next series of slides will really focus on the next series of 3 months to the 6-month mark. So that's really renewing the organization, and the 3 components that really focused on here were to identify where there are opportunities, build upon those opportunities, and attract the best and the brightest to help us to get to the next level. Next slide. So for the identifying the opportunities, really took a step and looked at our strengths and weaknesses. And, you've heard me talk about the after peer review. That actually, that work has stopped as far as the interviews and the process concluded last week. And we're waiting for APTA staff to put together the actual report. And what I'm looking forward to is hearing from them, especially since we looked at 3 areas. We looked at operations, we looked at finance, and we looked at organizational culture. And to hear from them, where they see the opportunities for HART to do some really big and bold things, and then also where they saw some opportunities for us to celebrate some of the great things that we're doing today, as well as opportunities for us to do some things a little differently where we may be weak. So looking forward to receiving that report and, making sure that we work with the team to implement the changes that are required. You've heard me say this in several occasions, change is difficult. I recognize that doing things in a different manner gives folks a little bit of angst, and I was hopeful that by this point in time we would be able to announce our reorg and what the feedback was. But again, sometimes it takes a little longer, but again, we want to do it right and not rush it. So that's why today I cannot present a reorg for the based on the input that we received from these analyses, but I'm confident that the information that we will receive will help us to move forward in the right way. I also want to say that even outside of working with the after peer review, staff has been looking at a couple of things. Our last board meeting, we talked to you about right-sizing the organization and how we made changes or shifts to our headways or frequency for the routes that had less than 10 boardings. I think it was less than 15 boardings actually per hour, so that we are really matching up our resources with, the community demand to provide a more realistic level of service. I can say that as of today, as of this morning, for the last 4 weeks, we have had pullouts every single day and have not missed a pullout except for on week 1. And in total, we missed 4 pullouts. When I had staff look at the data going back several years, we have not had a month or a 4-week period where we had 4 missed trips. So we've always consistently trended way above the 4-trip miss. Some months we even had missed trips in the hundreds. So I'm just sharing this to say that, yes, we did make some changes, but the objective is so that folks know if a bus is supposed to be there, it's going to be there. We're not taking trips out of the system. And what a missed trip actually means is that this trip, didn't happen. Right? So it's not that it got there a little bit late. That's different, right? So on-time performance means that these trips happened, but they may have gotten to the stop late. And when we say late, it's more than, 5 minutes from the scheduled time or so. A missed trip means the trip just never happened. And we had lots of those trips never happening. And I'm happy to announce that over the last, I guess it's 4 weeks, we haven't had any missed trips. And then the first week when we launched, we did have 4 missed trips. So that's definitely an opportunity to say that we identified a need, we made the adjustments, and with the team we currently have, we've found some success. So just wanted to share that with you, and kudos to the team. Also, As we mentioned when we did the change in service, the team was going to monitor the data on a daily basis and meet weekly to discuss that. Based on those conversations, we are looking to do a change in August to 4 routes to make some adjustments based on the data that we've seen. And again, it's not going to be anything significant, but just making sure that we're smoothing it out, providing the right level of service based on the demand that we're actually seeing. We're also going to look at making some changes to a route, and I believe it's route number 48, so that we can provide better access to the Amazon site that's coming online in August. So staff went out and they worked closely with the leadership in Temple Terrace. So I want to thank Director Schisler for helping us to navigate that process and connecting us with the appropriate folks in Temple Terrace so that our team could go out. And that's what we want to do. It's not, this is an example, but we want to make sure that we are here at the table before the project comes online. So we can do the work that's necessary. Staff can go out there, understand what are the turning radius, you know, is the bus going to be able to get down the street? What's the best placement for a bus stop? So that when the facility opens, or any new housing facility, or if it's, you know, again, like an Amazon, we want to make sure that we provide the right level of service and that we were out there before it started. So again, this is an example of identifying opportunities that we can manage right now with the resources we have and moving forward in that direction. Next slide. So the next part is to build, and it's really about building a culture of excellence. And a part of that is, you know, we had the branding conversation, we talked about public engagement. You know, if you don't recognize the value of what you have, it's hard for you to really understand what excellence looks like. And for us to have a culture of excellence, first it starts with understanding our organization. And we are the Hillsborough Regional, we are, I get it wrong, right?
Area Regional.
No, that's not our name. So that's part of the nuance, right? So we have this listing that it's Hillsborough Area Regional Transit Authority, but we're really just the Hillsborough, not just, but we're really the Hillsborough Transit Authority, right? So it's something as simple as like understanding your name, like legally, who are we? And making sure that now that we know who we are, why are we here? Making sure staff understands the charter. You know, what does it say in the charter? What is it that we're supposed to be doing? That's what the finance team has been working on through the leadership of Ms. Kirk and Ms. Casares, is really understanding what are the things that we're supposed to be doing, what are the mandates that we have on the state level and the federal level, on the local level, just so that we understand why we're here and the work that we're supposed to be doing. And then taking that out to the community. I'll give you an example. We were talking about on-time performance last week with the team, and I told them, you know, by the time I'm done here, I'd like us to have an on-time performance of 95% or better. And I think if they were animated, heads would have been popping off of shoulders right there at that time. But I made it clear that, you know, if you look at an on-time performance of 70%, that means in a 2-week period, somebody's going to be late for work 3 times. Right? If your on-time performance is 80%, that means in a 2-week pay cycle, you're going to be late 2 times, right? That is not the service that we want to provide. That's not what we want to articulate. We need to understand what numbers mean and how it translates to the actual customer experience. And once we start to have those conversations and see, you know, what can we do to make it so that within a 2-week period, you know, you feel fairly confident that you're not going to be late because of the service that we're providing. Recognizing that everybody, you know, if you drive, you might leave your house and there's a traffic jam or an accident and now you're late. We understand there's some dynamics to it, right? And the buses are also in that environment. So there may be an accident and the bus may be delayed because of that. But those delays need to be coming from external sources, not because we're not making it important for our operators to get out on time and hit our time points. So those are some of the things when we talk about building a culture of excellence, is really understanding what we're doing and how it impacts the communities that we serve. And then just making sure that we're doing everything in our power to ensure that we're being good stewards of the public dollars and providing the resources that are necessary to make the improvements that the community should expect from us. So I would happily say that I feel really good about the work that the staff is doing. I had several conversations with our leadership team, and you know, one of the immediate things that has been implemented over the last couple of weeks, as I mentioned, we're looking at tweaking the routes in August. They went to the operators and actually did a survey, So each operator who's driving these buses and managing these vehicles, they received a survey to provide input on what they're experiencing in the front lines. This is not rocket science. But these folks are driving these routes every day. They know what the challenges are. And this was an opportunity that we were not taking advantage of to engage with those who are on the front line to help us to make improvements to the service that we're providing, which will help them to make sure they're on time, but also helping the community. So that's one example of some of the things that we're doing internally to start building this culture of excellence and letting everyone know in the organization that we're all working on this together. It's not one group of people who has to be focused on excellence, it's all of us. So I'm happy to announce that this process is kicked off in May, and we're continuing to move forward. And again, these things don't stop in the month that they kicked off. It's just that this is when they got added to the mix, if you will. And then the last area is attracting talent. And, I've had a couple of conversations with you around the table about how difficult it is nationwide, citywide, countywide, globally, to attract talent. I want to say I think it was the Washington Post or the New York Times. They had an article a couple of weeks ago that, I think it was up to 30% of Americans have decided that they're going to all quit their jobs and everyone is doing something different. I don't know what that looks like, and I hope, my kids who are working do not quit their jobs. They cannot come back home. But nonetheless, this is something that we're all facing, right? And because of COVID, people are reassessing what they want to do with their lives, how they go about doing it. And what that means is, back to the branding, we have to make it clear to those that we are looking to attract that the brand of HART is strong. We're doing work that's beneficial to the community. We're helping people who want to help themselves to have better lives, and we're providing a needed service to helping them get to a good job, to great education, to great health facilities, to open spaces. And if we tell that story, we'll be able to attract the types of people that we want to be here at HART and to sustain this new era of public mobility. So that's what we're working on now. I have to say that we have had some success. As you're aware, we did hire a new director of safety, Mr. Jose Marquez, and he's great. He came from El Paso. He's been working really diligently here to help us to ensure that we are meeting the regulations and the standards of our safety systems. And we were also able to attract, Ms. Kirk to come with us, even though it's for a temporary basis. We were able to convince her to come out of retirement and work with us. So what you're seeing is, and this is just to name a few, what you're seeing is that we're able to attract people from other places in the country to come here because they see that there's something valuable at HART, and we want to continue that momentum. You may be aware we have several positions that are open, and we're actively recruiting and engaging, so we feel really good about the opportunities to build a team of top-notch talent. But at the same time, we have some really great people internally. So as you're aware, Mr. Scott Drainville has been tapped to also be our head of maintenance as well as head of operations. And it's because of his ability to really convey this message of a culture of excellence as well as understanding our connection to the community. So it's not only bringing people in or attracting people from outside of the organization, but also recognizing internal talent and giving people the opportunity to excel. We also have one such person in our audience today, Ms. Joanne Casares, who's been working in finance for over 5 years. She was tapped to be the director of budget, and as you can see, she is a master of our budget. She can, give you all sorts of numbers and figures in her head. But again, she was here, she existed, and it was for us to identify this talent and give her the opportunity. So what I would say is for the last 6 months, we've been really working hard to accomplish, this renewing of the organization, all of these pieces that will fit together. And again, what we're going to do as we transition to the next 6 months of the year is use all of this to help us create this vision, a vision of success for the future, starting to define HART's vision with your input as well as the input from our external partners so that by the end of this calendar year, we understand what our vision is and we start to establish goals and objectives to implement that. So I just want to take this moment to provide you with this overview of the first 6 months. It's been my pleasure to serve you. I've been having a really great time, and I look forward to serving you for the next 6 months of this calendar year.
Thank you very much. That's a great 6 months update on where we're going and why. And I, for one, and I know we all very much appreciate your leadership being directed by a customer service based on an empathy, of a true empathy, and communicating that through the ranks of HART to understand what our customers need from us and how our service actually impacts. I mean, the quote, that the example that you said about what this percentage of missed buses really translates to in the number of times a person is late for work or even a doctor's appointment or whatever, is a way of thinking and communicating to our staff throughout HART and our board, reminding us all about the importance of what we do and why we do it is based on the people, the individual people we serve on a person-by-person basis. Commissioner Kemp, you're recognized.
Thank you, and I just want to thank you again. I just think the direction that HART is moving in, has been taking, is a really great direction for the future, and I really appreciate the changes. And I actually put my hand up right at the beginning when you were talking about missed buses, and I know I've had this conversation, but, you know, and I've always watched all the stats that came out in the back of the board reports over the last 4.5 years for number of riders on this route or this, and watched it change from month to month, and paid close attention to it. So I will tell you that I was quite surprised. It's like you don't know what you don't know, although I always thought that there was not sometimes missing information. I just didn't know how to ask for it or know what it was. But I know at one time we had a 95% on time that was told to us over and over again, and I'd asked you about that. And what I found out is that if a bus was missed, that just wasn't recorded on time or not on time, which you spoke to that. So that we've never had a calculation in our reports that have shown us that we had missed buses. As far as I, even going through these numbers very closely, I would not have known that we had a problem at all, ever. And so I really appreciate, first of all, having that explained and knowing it, and seeing the tracking, and I'll celebrate the improvements, and thank you. That's, you know, that's so basic for this board not to have understood or been given information on or tracked, and it could have only been done by a CEO that's, you know, really looking through this and making us aware and changing that. So that's just excellent news, and I think, you know, Hillsborough County is getting improvements that I think are just going to benefit us so much for the future. So thank you so much for that summary and the information, and I think we're moving in a really good direction.
Thank you. We've got a couple of more directors. Director Williams,
thank
you're
you.
recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. The one word I've used several times with you, Mrs. LeGrand, is transparency. I think we talked about that in our initial interview. We talked about that when you first came aboard. We talked about it at 3 months, and now we're talking about it again at 6 months. And you're consistent with your messaging, as well as to echo Commissioner Kemp's comments in regards to the missed trips. I actually wrote that down when you said the means never happen and versus more than not late. And so I'm not sure that I understood the difference between those as well. and the number of trips that were missed that never happened versus them being late. So thank you for the education. Also, that is another, I guess it's another opportunity to show your leadership in being transparent, because you didn't have to share that, and that is something you share with us that exposed an opportunity that we've had for some time. And I believe that opportunities also are gifts that allow us to strengthen those muscles. So thank you for giving us an opportunity to strengthen those muscles, because we definitely will not get further along in the process without understanding where we are today. So thank you. And then I wrote down several words that you utilized, and I'll try to do those very quickly, Madam Chair. Collaborative, listening, community, vision, success, engagement, input, strength, weaknesses, goals, objectives, serve, great, time. I wrote so many things down here, but listening. And those are words that are purposeful. And those are words that are used because you are a servant leader. And I appreciate that in you, and appreciate the fact that you are doing what's right for our internal customers, because you started with internal customers. You talked about union relationships, you talked about the community, and you also talked about all of the other things that matter in your partnerships across the Bay, as well as waiting for feedback from APTA and allowing someone else to do a peer review and give feedback. So thank you. I can continue to go on, but I know this meeting has to end soon. So thank you for your leadership, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak and share the benefits of your leadership, and also the benefits of the employees of HART who are going through a lot of change at this time and adapting well to the change, because change is not easy. Thank you.
Thank you. You're right about that. Commissioner Overman, did you have your hand up? Mm-hmm. You're recognized.
Yes, thank you very much. I just want to say hoorah. Ms. LeGrand, one of the things that you've said since you've gotten here, and then walk the walk. I wear a bracelet that says "because I said I would," and one of the things I think this board can have great confidence that when you say you're going to do something, you do that. But the critical part of that is that HART has needed that transparency, that leadership, that assurity that we are being good stewards of the resources that we're spending, and which includes the human resources we deploy to take care of the citizens in Hillsborough County when it comes to getting them in the places they want to go. You have spoken that with authenticity and with the leadership of getting it done and doing the work. And I just want to say thank you, because it really matters when an agency is providing services and has a focus of customer service and a lens of customer service, but also of transparency that I think will allow the citizens of Hillsborough County, as well as your partner leaders in the community, to really recognize the value of what we're providing for our citizens. And I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. Director Frazier, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair, and I'll be very quick. Ms. LeGrand, I'm about as new to the board as you are to the CEO position, but the time that I've been here and in working with you, I am extremely impressed with your leadership, particularly because you're not afraid to make the hard decisions when you know it's the right decision, and also in really breaking down the data and helping us understand it. And we can't get to where we want to go unless we understand exactly where we are. So I really appreciate it, and keep up the good work.
Great. Thank you very much. Do you have anything else you want to add, Ms. LeGrand?
No, thank you so much.
All right. And the last thing that I have, although we've been skipping around so much, if I've missed anything, let me know, is a report from General Counsel. And I think Ms. Mandel will be able to update us on some things.
Good morning. The thing that I wanted to update you on today related to holding your hybrid meetings. And as many of you know, the governor has ended his emergency order as it related to COVID. However, you would change your rules, which would allow you the opportunity, unless an action is otherwise taken, to continue to have hybrid meetings the way we're having them. But one of the things I do want to reiterate, and we've already talked about this, so I won't go too much further, is it's very important that we communicate with staff as it relates to who's going to be here, because the physical quorum in place obligation remains and is something that, in order to take action as a board, you need to have a physical quorum here so that we can take that action. But that was really all I had to discuss today. Thank you.
Commissioner Overman, you're recognized.
Thank you, and I'm really glad you brought that up. When and if we get back to the HART building, one of the things historically that Ms. Grand, you may not recognize, but that room was always packed. And it's because we not only had, the professionals in the industry that had a reason to be there, but we also always have had, individuals that have liked to, although lately not so much, but that participate and provide us with input, and as that has happened over time. I know my preference would to continue to have hybrid meetings because it allows the public to participate. But have we adopted a policy or had a discussion on what we will continue to do going forward?
Well, you do have a policy that you implemented into your rules, which would allow us to continue to have, because you used to have a rule that said if you miss 2 meetings, you can miss more than 2 meetings. Now, you no longer have that rule. We changed the rule, and there's nothing in there that requires you to take an additional action to continue to have hybrid meetings. What you would need to do is take an action to no longer have hybrid meetings. So we can presume for the time being that we're moving forward in a manner consistent with your board policies. What we didn't implement, and we don't need to because it is the law of the land, as it were, is the physical quorum in place requirement of the Sunshine Law as determined by the Attorney General. That is probably the one thing, if we were to see any legislative action, that would need to occur to remove that aspect of it. Otherwise, it's really a rule that you've implemented for yourselves that does allow you to continue to have your hybrid meetings in this fashion.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Schisler?
Yeah. Yes, thank you. To that extent, I was wondering, maybe we should. I think we have some directors who haven't been here since the beginning of the whole affair, and most of us have, many of us have, but some haven't, and we run into a situation like we had today. I mean, there's going to be an opportunity to where we're going to have to miss a meeting every once in a while, and we had made those arrangements to do it telephonically, and that worked well. So I was just wondering, do we need, and I'm not saying we do or don't, do we need to go back to enforcing more presence so that we don't have a situation like we had today? If Director Frazier hadn't been able to come in, we wouldn't have been able to do today. So I think we need to, if you want to be associated, you got to come in and go to work. We expect our, again, I go back to what I said a year ago. We expect our employees to go to work. They got to come in too. It just creates problems. I understand things happen, and Lord knows I was out for the committee meetings last month. But and I'm not saying I know what to do with it. I'm just saying maybe there's something that we can at least come to one meeting every 6 months or something of that nature. But that's just, and I'll stop there.
Commissioner Overman, you're recognized.
Thank you. And I think we have 2 different issues to consider. When you're able to attend virtually, you're still here. You're just not being able to meet the quorum requirement that the state mandates we have. And people's circumstances do change. But to your point, if you're not even showing up at the meeting virtually, that's a problem too. So I think that while I appreciate your comments, we are in a new world where working virtually really has benefited organizations in a great way. The challenge we have is the quorum requirement that also causes a problem. I'm hugely impressed with how well the organization has functioned, when we've had situations where I know I couldn't be here until I got a vaccination. I wasn't going to come to a meeting. I wasn't going to make quorum because that was my personal choice, having a child in the house that doesn't have a vaccination. So, but everybody has their reasons, right? But then we do have circumstances where things come up. So to the point of today's meeting, I do appreciate Chair's comments regarding do your best to try and give us as much notice as possible to respect other board members and the need for a quorum. But I think as far as having hybrid participation and making sure that people are attending the meetings on a regular basis as required, whether it's virtual or in person, I think is critical of an issue. If we have board members that are just not showing up, that's, that's indicative of addressing the issue of attendance, right? So, but I appreciate everyone's participation, and thank you, Director Frazier, for showing up today.
Thank you. I think we've entered a brave new world of technology, and it's come with fits and starts, and as Vice Chair Williams noted, change is not easy. It's hard, but once we've climbed that learning curve and technological curve, I'm hoping that we will be able to utilize some of what we've learned moving forward to continue allowing particularly public participation as much as possible. We do serve a huge county, and it's sometimes easier for people to participate virtually, and I'm glad we're able to accommodate that, especially for the public. I know that in our prior policies, I had I used up my 2 virtual excuses or virtual abilities by phoning in because I was stuck in traffic. I left in plenty of time, but ran into one of those many days where traffic just blew up on I-75, and I was sitting there for an hour. So I was glad that I was able to phone in and participate on some action items, and now that we're able to do this a little better, I hope that we can accommodate people. I think, as we're learning and moving into this era, if people will let us know early enough what their plans are, that we may be able to make quorums, ahead of time, and see how that works for a little while anyway. Let me ask one question. When we go back to the HART building for our meetings, are we going to be able to have them televised? I thought that was also one of the issues here.
So we do not have the ability at HART to do the same type of production that we have here at the county center.
Mm-hmm.
So they will not be able to be televised on the same network. We can do, the YouTube live type of production, but not the production that we have here at the county center.
Okay. I think this is working pretty well for now anyway with the system that we have here, and we do have room for public participation as the county building opens up for more public. So hopefully, we can ease into whatever our future brings. All right, and seeing no other discussion on that, I have no chair report. The other reports are in your agenda. Do we have anything else for the good of the order? Commissioner Overman, you reckon? No? Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you.